Hey everybody, it's Kurt Love with I Don't Speak Canadian, and I am so blessed to be with some of the cast and the director of Boy City making its world premiere here at the Whistler Film Festival. And I'm so excited because I've seen the film. All right, industry secrets. I got screeners because I'm a big deal. Anyway, but it was so exciting, it was so funny, and let's start off with that, gentlemen. A comedy at the Whistler Film Festival is hard to find. To be honest. So how do you feel about having a comedy at the Whistler Film Festival?
Feels, I think we're one of two, maybe. So
Yeah.
if people didn't want to see it, I'd have to question what's the general spirit of the place is, that no one would want to come and have a few laughs.
Right.
But it's we're really fortunate because we're now able to, I think, provide a little bit of counter programming, and hopefully that means more people come and see it.
Absolutely. Oh, and it is today. You'll be seeing this. They've already had their champagne and watched the premiere, and people have gone crazy. They've all got like major deals with big studios. But
That's exactly what's gonna
Netflix is
happen.
probably optioning it, right?
We can't discuss
we can't.
at the moment. No,
We
sorry.
won't say that right now.
Yeah.
But tell me about that. First of all, how does it feel to be here and to have a film at the Whistler Film Festival? And tell me a little bit about the journey on making it here.
Yeah, this is my fifth time at the Whistler Film Festival, so they've been an incredibly supportive organization of my past work and the work of emerging filmmakers. So as far as the journey goes, I mean, this is Matt's brilliant script seemed to be at the time I first read it unproducible. I don't know what genre it was. I don't know who to bring it to, but luckily we found this financier who said, bring us something genre agnostic, and that was like the opening to a door to help finance this film. And thankfully, when this financier read it and loved it, it gave us the hope and optimism it took to actually go ahead and make the film. So yeah. Kudos to Matt for writing an incredible script that defies genre and was able to get made through its singular vision.
How does that feel, Matt, when you get notes like that? This defies genre. It's and Sean says it's unmakeable.
Well, I mean, it certainly will be a topic I cover in therapy in the next few weeks, especially after we show it to an audience. But I think the unique component of this for me is that I didn't really write it with the intention that it would be made. It was an exercise for me. I had never written a feature before, and I'd always dreamed of working in features and writing a movie. And so when I sat down to write it, I wasn't encumbered by any of the business side of things. It was, okay, what is the story I want to tell, and how am I going to be able to do that in a way that's the most entertaining, frankly, to me and my friends? And that was the intent behind it. So, without spoiling anything, the movie begins as one thing and then kind of takes a big... Is the phrase left turn or right turn? Because
Right. I think left turn.
It's left turn, right?
Which is offensive to left-handed people, I think.
Yeah. Because we just had another interview where he said it takes a right turn, and that just made me question whether or not I've been saying the phrase correctly. But
Well, because if you want to go in a square, don't you have to take all right turns?
You're right.
So if you take a left turn, you're out of the square.
yeah, that's
I don't
right.
know if that makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a plot twist. So no, but
that's a good way to put it.
yeah. So there's
Which
there,
is said a few times.
yeah,
by
there's
your character.
there's an element of a major plot twist that is hinted at, but so anyway, there's a long-winded way of saying it's incredibly gratifying. I feel really lucky and fortunate that we actually got to push it over the finish line, and I give all the credit to Sean and Greg and the rest of the team for doing that, because everyone bought into the craziness of it, and nobody, even if they did question it, outwardly expressed it to me that they were getting themselves into this crazy situation. So I think the finished product, I think I can speak for all of us, is we made the movie we wanted to make, and that seems like an incredibly rare thing to have happen.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Hey, Greg, tell me about your audition process. You're an actor. I'm assuming you've done this before. You had to read scripts and go through this. But there's dance steps and singing. Is this something up your alley, or is this something in your history?
Greg is offer only.
Oh.
Yeah, tell us
Offer only when it comes to working with people that you've known since you were 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, you get a little bit of an in. He still put me through a rigorous audition process. No, I actually think I was the first one to read the script.
Yeah.
And to Matt's point, I swear, I put it down. I laughed my ass off, and I was like, no one is going to make this movie. This is like impossible. This is not going to happen. But tried to remain optimistic and positive because he'd done some really interesting, fun work. But because of how well we know each other and like the rest of the guys in the movie, we're all really close friends, and we've done comedy together over the years.
Are you in a improv group?
We
sketch
were
group?
like way back in the day.
Okay.
So it's been years and years since we've done anything together.
And nobody wants to see a movie about older improv actors.
Right, which is
The
why
older boy bands.
absolutely, yeah. And so it was seamless to get to work with everybody. And I mean, Sean was just a miracle to come in. I couldn't believe that anyone was going to do it, let alone, a talented filmmaker like Sean. And then for him to have the trust in us to say, yeah, you guys are the guys, and go ahead and do it together. So it was like, I think because it was also such a frantic schedule and all of that to make this thing in a short amount of time with limited resources, the fact that we were already a crew that loved each other and trusted each other definitely helped the process.
You don't want a diva,
Right,
fits
exactly.
on the set where they
Can I
walk
please
off.
have the mic?
Right?
Can I please have the mic? Thank you.
Yeah.
very much.
Oh, there's the mic.
So please.
Tell me a little bit about this, Sean. When you're selecting the script to direct, this is something different for you as far as like choreographing all the stuff you had to do, this dances, the music video, all that. Like, where did you delve into to kind of get the inspiration for the way you shot the film?
You know what? It honestly came about when we went for a location scout and to these locations in the script in the city that we chose to film in. Just having our Aurelia, Ontario, yeah. Just having our cinematographer in the car and Matt there as well. We just kind of brainstormed on this long road trip all the bizarre things that we could glean from the script and then put it outwardly on camera, sort of thing. So having those precious moments where we could all spend time together during the pandemic was really kind of unlocked a level of creativity that had been dormant for at least a year and a half when we were all kind of suffering in our pandemic holes.
That's also an extra. Yeah, forgot to state that the fact that you shot your first feature during a pandemic, and it kind of imbues the ethos of your characters in the movie. Like, nothing's gonna stop us.
Right.
Like, was there any point where you were questioning, like, are we being dumb right now? Should we wait?
I think, because of having all of that pent up creative energy over the course of essentially a year. I mean, the first time we sat down as a group, the core members of the boy band and Sean, we did a read through over Zoom a year, almost a little over a year from when we started to shoot it. So it took some time for everything to come together, and I think we were really fortunate that we not only had amongst the core group of us the familiarity and the sense of passion for the project, but we had an incredibly talented crew and additional cast that were just excited to be back on set. And frankly, I think it's the secret sauce of the film, and why, if you enjoy it, I think that's the reason that kind of underpins the entire production. It was honestly the most fun set that I think a lot of us have ever been on, if ever have been on, because we were just so excited to be there, and because we were able to, cast other friends of ours and have this silly, fun, collaborative process during the lead up to the film and while we were shooting. I think it reads in the film, and it was honestly I don't have children, but people usually say that was the greatest moment of my life until I had kids. So until that happens, this is going to go down as the greatest experience of my entire life. So I'll keep you all posted on the kids thing.
Please do.
I'm working on it.
We should get an app just to alert us.
To learn, yeah.
Or free some sperm.
Yeah.
Just probably just in case, just to make sure.
That took a right turn.
That's it. Oh, plot twist. Well, it comes through in the film. You know that what you're talking about, that general attitude. And I don't know. Again, me being the cynical American, if you will, like I feel like that's what I love about most of the people I come across in Canada, are especially the creators. There's an optimism. There's a more positive attitude, and in any set I've been on here, it's like everybody's tremendous to work with. It doesn't seem like there's an attitude. Is that something the Canadians, in particular, like shy away from, or make sure? Is it like something you have to keep out of your attitude, or keep away from that
It is, because
ego?
you are better than us.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we are,
you. Thank you.
I'm joking.
Well, this
Greg, take
podcast is over.
Oh my God, I don't have the answer to that question.
It's a big one.
So are you asking the
Why are Canadians so nice?
Well, we're a big happy family, and I mean, honestly, with this, to Matt's point from before, like this set was, it's a family affair, and so it's not hard. It wasn't hard to get along, and even all the people that we were meeting, it just like, and given the nature and the playfulness of the movie, you go to a lot of sets and they can feel heavy and dark, and everyone's taking this really seriously. And as much as like we were taking the work seriously, we weren't taking ourselves seriously. And, so then, everyone getting along is just, contributed.
Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. It's the way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if we're talking about, is a question I've been contemplating in anticipation of this interview, is sort of because as soon as I met you, I felt we were destined to be together in a podcast form.
I hope so. Podcast,
YouTube, everything, wherever this.
Be purchased by something.
Yeah. This will be the new viral sensation.
Spotify.
Yeah. We're gonna turn this into an animated series. Kurt and I interviewing each other about why we like each other so much.
Thank you. You could be my Canadian envoy.
Yeah.
You'd be like my guy who just teaches me
I think
how
that
to be Canadian.
yeah.
This is where your kids are going to come
This
from.
is, yeah,
This
exactly.
is-
Here we go.
Oh, fantastic.
But there's this. Canada has this rich and deep history and lineage of comedy. Dating all the way back to, obviously the roots of SNL are Canadian, whether it's Lorne Michaels and Dan Aykroyd in the beginning, and then you have SCTV, and then all these terrific stars along the way. I was thinking, like, what is it about our culture and our country that lends itself to being such a hotbed of great comedy? And I think there is something that's just pure and honest and not cynical about our approach to it. I think it's fun. There is this, and I think it is because we grow up in the shadow of the big monolithic Hollywood system and American culture that there it doesn't seem like the stakes are as high, maybe, and so there's just really a freedom to play and have a good time. And so when I think of my favorites, whether it's John Candy or Martin Short or Mike Myers or Jim Carrey, there's just this joyful and playfulness that they all embody. And I think that is our favorite type of comedy. Not that we don't love, obviously we grew up with, all Ghostbusters and the classic comedies, but there is something that, at least for our work, I'm conscious of that. I don't want there to be a cynical bone in anything I do. I want it to be enjoyable and uplifting, even if it does take a big right turn into some unexpected places. But I don't know if that resonates with you as an American.
Absolutely. I mean, because I grew up as I'm from Boston originally, so a lot of the Boston, comics can come across as a little harsh and bitter. I mean, like, I love Bill Burr. I think he's one of the best comedians out there, and he's not. He doesn't pull any punches, and he's pretty brutal. And some of that, like, it's stuff I laugh about. And again, you can see that growing up. The area I come from. There's a different sort of way of taking a piss out of your friends. Boston, it seems a lot harsher, but that's like, we get it. Canadians can do it, and I think similarly that they are. I hate that word. It's so hard to say clean on camera. That the Canadians like to take a piss, but they don't. But maybe it's just the automatic understanding that we are friendly and we're friends and we're not trying to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, there's no underlying source of anger, I think, underneath our comedy, right?
Right.
Most Americans have that fuel to unleash.
Yeah, maybe we're just jealous of you Canadians. That's what
I doubt it.
These are a bunch of Americans watching behind us right
Yeah, see, rude. They
The
don't
nerve.
know the film, guys. Obviously, see, you can tell. Like, oh, yeah, they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop. And this will be an edit point.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tree. I mean, I
It's
get
a
it.
beautiful tree. Let's talk about this as far as the idea of getting an independent film like this off the ground. This is something I'm curious about, and I love the fact that Matthew, you made your own way. Like that's a lot of actors who sit by the phone, wait for auditions, wait for things. But you said, take things in my own hands. You got to film at a Whistler Film Festival. Now, boom, that's amazing, right? So tell me about the ups and downs of independent filmmaking. What's that like?
Well, I'll turn that over to Sean, but in terms of the nuts and bolts and mechanics of it. But I'll say, my own experience as an actor, specifically, it can be pretty disheartening at times to feel like you're giving it your all and you're just not right for something, or you can't kick the door down. And I mean, for us, so Greg and I have known each other since we've been best friends since we're 12 years old, and we went to a performing arts high school together. So we've been chasing this thing for a long time, and for us, it was always about creating the stories and being the architects as much as we can, because this guy is not just my best friend, he's my favorite actor in the world, and if you see the movie you'll understand why, because he can play everything. He can play comedy, he can play drama, he can do action, he can dance and sing. And so I'll be as yeah. Listen, I'm getting paid a lot of money to say this, but
Thanks, Mom.
yeah. But so to be able to know that these guys who are in the band who are my best friends and some of my favorite performers, if knowing that I could tailor the roles specifically to them and that they would knock it out of the park, is the most uplifting thing for my creative process and as an artist. So again, the fact that we got to be the guys is a miracle, I think, and I'll let Sean speak to the difficulties or the challenges that arise from any independent production, but even one where you're coming with an attached cast.
Yeah, I'm getting better. Sean, tell me about how is this different? How is Boy City different from any other independent film you've worked on? What are the unique challenges?
I think what makes Boy City pretty unique is that it's so marketable. So we have this era in music history that a lot of people grew up with, and there is a resurgence now of the early 2000s, and that's what makes our film quite timely. But it's also incredibly absurd and diverse, and it spans different genres, so it's told in a unique way. And I think that's a bolt of enthusiasm and originality at a time where we could use a little bit more of levity in our film consumption.
Absolutely. I was going to say you did a great job. You kept things current with like the K-pop references, and was there any particular sort of, if you're embarrassed to say so, please don't, but is there a boy band that you're a particular fan of?
Clearly, I'm very reserved and conscientious with my answers. So
Let the veil down.
Right, I know. Tell you more about how I don't have any kids. No, I think for me, one of the fun things about exploring this particular subject matter was delving into the music, and I think at the time, as a young, adolescent boy, I couldn't really appreciate what those bands' virtues were, because I was just too busy being jealous that all the girls loved them. and that I was never going to be Nick Carter or Justin Timberlake or whatever the dudes from 98 Degrees were named. I think Nick Lachey and Drew Lachey, and then the other guy. But I will say belatedly, I'm a huge fan of the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC in that era. The music is, and Greg's a musician, so I'll let you speak to it a little bit. It's ridiculous, it's bubblegum, but it's so catchy and danceable, and really, when you delve a little deeper into it, when you learn about the producers like the Max Martins and this whole Swedish sound machine that was behind, which actually factors into the movie a little bit. Behind these songs, I mean, they're incredible compositions when you break them down.
Tell me why.
Well, ain't nothing.
Love it. Yeah. And actually, my brother, who goes professionally by Nice Mark, is a musician who produced all of the songs of the original material.
Is that album available on Spotify or something?
I think that's the hope. It will be.
It will be,
We
okay.
do plan to put out the music.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it was so fun to go down the deep dive, when these guys were composing everything, and what can you pull from which songs and which groups, and then really getting to just play with that and lean into all of that. And then recording the songs, we did that all before we shot the film. And that was its own hilarious first chapter to get to dive into together. And then Mark actually, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Was everybody actually measured up to their character with their vocal? You kind of go through it. One's the rapper, one's the great singer, one's awful at everything. How
Can we give the secret away?
Yeah, I don't know.
That actually, so the one who's supposed to be the most talented in the group was the only one who didn't do, and that's Christian Smith.
Oh.
Did not, who plays Rispin, did not do the vocals, and it was actually Matthew's younger brother, Alex Karzis, who has a beautiful voice, and
Yes, he
and
does.
he came in and did the whole thing, which was just its own hilarious thing. That Matt's brother was the one that Christian was lip syncing to. So
All right, I can leave that out of if you guys want to keep it.
And it really wasn't a commentary on Christian's singing ability as much as it was a timing thing, and we needed that performer to have that angelic voice. And it's just hilarious that Greg's brother composed the score of the film, produced and composed the songs with me, and then my brother is a singer, and it's just it really was a family affair. And the songs were so the reason I rap in the movie is because I can't sing. So that was a very conscious piece of writing where I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna be in this thing, I have to write, I have to rap because I cannot sing. But that was maybe, that day that we recorded all the songs, we did it all in one day, was incredibly fun. It was, and to Mark's credit, the songs are really good. They're catchy. It's more like it's because the idea is they're not so absurdly bad as a band that that they wouldn't win a talent show in their local high school or whatever, because that would have. Then you're stretching the credulity of the entire piece if there's no chance that these guys have. It's more the age thing that is their biggest deterrent. But I would say it's a credit to Mark that you could even maybe see a world that these guys could actually have a recording career because he did such a great job with the tracks. Nice Mark Music.
Yeah, Nice Mark Music. You send me all his socials. We'll put it right there. Tell me, I don't want to dig too deep on and give away some of the jokes, but there's just the main idea you kind of play around with of just men doing boy band stuff and who those fans are going to be. So, I mean, you kind of play with it a little bit in the film. Was that an issue in the writing process? Okay, how am I going to attack this?
Yeah, so I think, again, it comes back to the experience that, living through that era, which I'm sure there's plenty of young people, young men, women, and otherwise that still have that issue with the BTSs and the One Directions, where it's literally anything that a group of people can talk about, and they become hysterical when these guys sing and dance. So I think it was more, I think everything from the writing process stemmed from how can we show how out of touch these guys are. Right. So some of the commentary in the film, whether it's about the certain fan bases or different demographics that they're chasing after, or their idea of even what the entertainment industry is. And I think that's something that for us, and I'm sure for you too, Sean, like coming into this era where we predated social media, and then it kind of came around when we were, already pursuing our careers, and then this new filter it exists that I frankly, only up until recently, I had no Instagram, I had no real presence on social media, and there's stories about these bands touring and working their asses off, and that's how they broke through, or actors being discovered for brilliant performances on stage that then got them into their breakthrough film roles. And now there's this entire apparatus that you can kind of supersede all of that. And so for me, it was not about judging that or skewering that as much as using that as another opportunity to just show like how myopic and narrow-minded these guys are in their pursuit. And I think that's ultimately, again, there's trying not to be cynical at all, trying to just have this be as relatable as possible while staying relevant but being true to. It's a weird time being in your mid to late 30s, because you're kind of at this crossroads between youth and middle age. It feels like I
used to know it.
Yeah, right. I think I was someone who I grew up in a household where my dad was very up on current pop culture trends, music and film in particular. It's probably the reason why I do what I do. And even with Greg and I growing up, my dad would like force us to listen to certain things or watch certain films. And as a 35-year-old man now, I don't feel the same. I don't have the same connection to what's going on now. I feel like out of step a little bit in terms of what are the cool trends, what are the cool music, are the things that I love. And Greg and I had the conversation during the development process of Justin Timberlake. He's not in the movie, but he looms large over the movie.
He's in the movie. He might be in the movie.
Kurt. And we had the conversation. Is he someone that is going to just resonate with our generation and maybe not so much to the one coming up, this whatever Gen Z and the sort of youthful generation now. But at the end of the day, it came down to we have to tell our story and be truthful to our experience, and I think the movie does that. And I think we were just saying in the other interview. Whether it was the 50s and it was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, or in the 70s you had the Partridge Family and the Bay City Rollers throughout the 80s, and then into the era that we cover, the 90s and the early 2000s, all the way up to present day. Pop bands and boy bands specifically have existed throughout the history of modern popular music, and I think they always will. And that's just something that regardless of which of those eras you grew up in and which of those bands resonate with you, you'll be able to relate to it. And I think that's where our movie can kind of have that universal appeal.
Just gotta get the teens and fulfill your dreams.
Yes.
Get the teens, fulfill your dreams. There's a T-shirt right there. Best Canadian pop band or boy band, if you have one. Is there a Canadian boy band? Boy City.
There, Boy City. Yes. We'll fill that vacuum as a middle-aged boy band. There was a band called the Moffats. I'll show a little bit. They were Canadian, yeah. Show a little love to the Moffats. There's a band called B44 that had a big hit called "Get Down on Me." I'll let you infer what the innuendo in that track was on your own. So those would be the two that come to mind.
An oppressive parent who's just always badgering.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought it was about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other music favorites for you? What was your musical influence before this?
In general,
In
or
general,
specifically
in
about
general.
all over the place.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
As Justin.
As Justin.
Yeah, what is Justin like, and what is Gregory?
Justin likes one thing and one thing only, and that is NSYNC, and particularly Justin Timberlake. He's got Justin on the mind 24/7.
Very odd respect for him.
And
not even
absolutely,
saying his name.
yeah, no, and that's brilliant writing. You know, he loves him so much he could not bear to have the same name, so he had to legally change it.
I wonder if there is like a future version of Justin, if he like feels like he gets to that level and earns the U. Like, does he get that at some point?
Oh yeah, that's a
Like,
good.
I wonder. That's a
Yeah,
simple idea.
that is-
I'll give him away, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Your
but
musical influence.
oh well. So I mean, I have been gifted with, like, as again to my dad just turning me on to everything. Unfortunately, the genetic coding that created me did not have any musical talent attached to it. So, but I would say the influences, particularly for this movie, were all the boy bands, but then also some of the R&B groups as well. And then, I love rap music, and I know that the only way that I could ever pretend to be a rapper was in a silly, farcical way. So I'm not going to name any artists because that would be ridiculous. If you see and hear what the raps are in the movie, if I were to say, like, Naughty by Nature and Tribe Called Quest, you'd be like, this guy's a fucking idiot. But love all music, all genres, and particularly the classic rock era was a big influence, and then the '90s alternative, whether it was grunge, Nirvana,
Sean, what's yours? Yeah, any Canadian grunge?
Canadian grunge? Well, there's like I guess at the time the Tragically Hip were in the 90s, big influence. But no, I was the grunge era for sure. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, White Stripes. That was my kind of jam.
We're both devastatingly young-looking people who like. Yeah, it's good for you, grunge. Absolutely. It makes you look younger longer. What I really admired, and I'll tell you, it's not really a question, but you can speak to it if you want. But like what I admired, and obviously coming from an actor's, creator's point of view, was that there was this genuine feeling of like, when you love what you do, you're just not going to stop until you want to do it. Was there? I guess there is a question. Was there part of that in you that it's like I'm creating my own way into the business? Was that sort of the feeling throughout, like masked as boy bands? Like, doesn't matter
There's
what the rest of
parallels
the
in
world
the film industry for sure. I mean, we in our field, I mean, we're constantly pitching projects and can foresee the future where our project is in the world and resonating with audiences. And I think that's the same with Boy City. They have this amazing vision for what their music can be and how it'll reach audiences. And I think that's the same thing for filmmakers too.
Right.
And I'll say that a large influence for me in the constructing of the hurdles and the challenges that they come across that aren't self-inflicted, whether that's being led on by certain nefarious characters within the course of the film, that's something that, as an earnest and sincere person trying to have a career doing what I love to do, which is write and act and create stories, you meet people along the way who sell you a bill of goods or tell you, maybe not even in a sort of malevolent way, but just to have a certain roadmap that they think you should follow, and here's the reasons why. And if you're young and impressionable, you'll listen to that, or you feel like, okay, this is what I need to do, or I need to go to all the networking parties. I need to be blasting my social media. I need to be this guy's telling me that he's gonna, he can get us in the room with this person and that person. Okay, whatever it takes, and that is something that even still is I think through this project though, and us being fortunate enough to make it, I think I've kind of come to peace with all of that, and realizing that as fortunate as I feel, there's now to have Boy City exist at all, there does feel like there's a way to to keep it in-house, do your own thing, and if you're passionate enough about it and believe in the project enough and work with people as not just as talented as these guys, but as genuine and generous and loving and I'm not going to get emotional, but that you can, yeah, right, that you can do what you love to do.
Yeah.
But I think part of the fun of the film too is being able to laugh a bit at ourselves and knowing that our own earnest pursuits of our own careers is a little ridiculous at times, and so it kind of created an opportunity for us to zoom out a little bit and even look at ourselves and be like, damn, taking this shit so seriously is pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. Your long-term friendship with this guy's finally paid off, and now you can fit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, now I'm out.
See you,
That's
buddy.
that,
I got
yeah.
my movie.
Yeah.
Boom. No, it was fantastic. Go see Boy City. Congrats on the film. I'm so excited that you're here. Well, any more? No, I'm not going to get it. Let's wrap up like a genuine. I see it's authentic, and I feel like the ending's there, but then I have like 1,000 more questions for you. I want to do a bit. I want you and I to dance together. Romantic.
I want to see that happen,
Yeah.
so let's make that happen.
No, thank you so much. We got Greg, Matt, Sean for Boy City. Go see it when it comes to your area, and then download all the music on Spotify and say hi to Nice Mark.
Nice, Mark.
Nice Mark.
Kurt, thank you for having us,
so much.
man. It's such a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
I appreciate you.
This is why I moved to Canada.
We're
Thank
family
you.
now.
A family. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.